probably heard of, called the Maker Movement, a community dedicated to helping people create rather than just consume. And people are creating all kinds of things. They're using 3D printers to create things like a working wrench, a padlock, a flute. On the bottom row are things that people have made entirely for their own purposes, just for themselves. A bag holder, a model of an animal skull. And the killer app for 3D printers is things for a market of one. And here's such a one. 3D printing has enormous potential to help people. 3-year-old Emma has extremely weak muscles from something called arthrogryposis. So with her custom magic arms, as she calls them, she's finally able to pick things up. If she outgrows them, her mother simply prints out a new piece. The important thing is not just 3D printers, but the culture of sharing that's been built up around them. The Metropolitan Museum in New York City gets this idea and its educational potential. They invited museum visitors to come and scan their sculptures in a scanathon. Everyday people made 3D models of all the sculptures in the museum that they could find with regular handheld cameras, including iPhones, and free software, including something called 123D Catch, which is an app for your iPhone from which you can get a 3D model. The museum is given free access to these models online. This is profoundly forward-thinking of a museum to basically say, come scan our stuff. Rather than keeping it locked up, they're basically enabling anyone in the world who has access to the internet to suddenly share in their material wealth and experience it. But there's a dark side to access too. Famously, we have access, but network fabrication has some very scary implications for otherwise restricted goods. For example, a hacker recently showed the use of a 3D printer to make working plastic copies of standard handcuff keys. Likewise, the Defense Distributed Group in their Wiki Weapon project has developed free 3D models, and using $30 of plastic, you can print the lower receiver, the regulated part, of a functional AR-15 rifle. So things are getting interesting, as they say. But the maker movement in general is more than just mischief with 3D printers. Here, for example, is a working open source mobile phone. The design is free. It costs about $100 to build. It was designed by a single student at MIT using tools and materials from the Commons as a gift returned back to the Commons. Both design and production are democratized. The maker revolution doesn't just enable individuals, but groups of people as well. And it also enables new kinds of crowds to form around concepts as they emerge. The gun example is one, but here's maybe a more positive one. It's a clock created by the internet. Dozens of people from around the world made contributions to its design. People are sharing designs like this the same way that they're sharing music, but they're also improving them as they go, tuning these solutions to local conditions. So I wonder how many of you are familiar with a concept called the walla? A couple. It's a kind of single-purpose street craftsman, common in India, but also elsewhere in the world under different names. There are wallas for practically